briefly have a hope when a son was born to him in 1589, a boy named Tsurumatsu. But Tsurumatsu died at the age of 2. It was right after Tsurumatsu's death that Hideyoshi stopped just talking about conquering China and started taking concrete steps. His invasion plans kicked into high gear right after the little boy died. So that's why Hideyoshi wanted to conquer China. It was about survival. By keeping his daimyo commanders occupied with overseas conquest, Hideyoshi could ensure his control over Japan. The daimyo would be fighting over in Korea and China. They wouldn't be causing trouble at home. And by conquering China, by carving out a domain so big, so vast, so rich, Hideyoshi would ensure the survival of Japan even after he himself was gone. For Hideyoshi to send his invasion army directly to China by ship over hundreds of miles of open ocean was simply too risky. He needed a land route to China. He needed Korea. Korea was the road. Hideyoshi initially tried to cajole and to bully the Koreans into joining him, into bowing down to him, or to at least step aside and let him pass up Korea on his way to China. But the Koreans didn't cave in to him. In fact, right up until the eve of the Imjin War, they continued to argue amongst themselves whether he was serious or not. In the Korean government, one side, the Western faction, argued that Hideyoshi was serious, and that concessions had to be made. The other side, the Eastern faction, took the opposite view, that Hideyoshi was just blowing hot air, that no invasion was coming, and that there was no need to take defensive measures. Well, they were wrong. The Imjin War was about to begin. That live there. Sometime in the early afternoon, he emerges from the trees on the far side of the island, and there, to the south, China, and the Koreans have been debating amongst themselves whether he's serious or not. Well, Chongpal knows he's serious now. He can see the ships approaching. They're right there. Dozens of ships, soon to be more than 100. He races back across the island, jumps into his boat, and rows frantically back to Busan to raise the alarm. The invasion of Korea is about to begin. So it's the spring of 1592. We're on the north coast of the Japanese island of Kyushu, near the present-day city of Fukuoka. It's here where Hideyoshi has established his invasion, his launching point for his plan of Korea and China. His army of 800 men is divided into Toda Nagamasa. These are all Kyushu. First, forward here it's just to Seoul, leading the Central Road, the East Road, and the West Road. Roads, incidentally, think of as roads, they were trails. At best, when they approached town, they were a little more than cart tracks. So that's Hideyoshi's initial army for the initial threat to Korea. Now, let's look at the Koreans' defenses. The Korean peninsula is divided into 8 provinces. The ones that concern us now are the 2 southernmost ones, Gyeongsang and Cholla. The threat approaching Korea was a naval armada, so it was Korea's naval units that concern us most. There were 4 of them. Commander Park, Gyeongsang Right Navy under Won Kyun, the Cholla Left, and the Cholla Right Navy under Lee Ok-ki. Okay, so it's May 1592. Pusan Commander Chongpal out hunting on Deer Island. He spots the approaching ships carrying Konishi's first contingent. Hideyoshi has been threatening for several years that he's going to invade Korea, so it's not like the Koreans haven't been warned. But there's still massive confusion. Some in government have been insisting that Hideyoshi's just bluffing, that he'll never do it. And ships do. But trade ships, they usually come in 2s and 3s, not 50, So this is Hideyoshi's initiative. How knows it? So he races back to Pusan to raise the alarm. Now the Japanese are in a vulnerable these ships that they've crossed the sea from Tsushima. These aren't heavy warships. They're lightly built transports, some probably not much more than fishing boats. So the time to strike them is now, while they're still on the water, before the troops aboard can land. The Koreans have the warships to do this. They have heavy Panokson warships, cannons that can blast the Japanese out of the water. They have the ability to crush the invasion before it can even begin. It's all up to Pak Hong and his Gyeongsang. In the area around Pusan, this is the stretch of coastline assigned to protect. But he doesn't do anything when the Japanese approach. He watches them from his nearby base. He's hardly able to believe that a crowd of 200 ships, then 300, then 400. He sends off frantic messages to Seoul, but he takes no action. Kunishi Yukinaga's forces come ashore, unopposed, at dawn the next morning. A portion of them march a few kilometers south